Hey everybody, this is D Hamster bringing you some gameplay footage from Brigador. Brigador is a vehicular combat game coming out for the PC this summer. It's in closed alpha right now, so a lot of it's in pretty early development, but I had a chance to take some video of it. The premise of this game is that the city has been thrown into chaos by the death of the great leader, and you're supposed to go in there with like a mech or a tank or a hovercraft or something and then just start blowing a lot of stuff up. Each of the city's 9 districts can be cleared by destroying a certain number of enemy units, which is probably the most straightforward way of doing things, by going around and blowing up all the ammo depots, or by finding the orbital defense platform and blowing that up. In a sense then, you kind of have the choice between whether you want to YOLO it and play it guns blazing, versus if you wanted to play it more carefully and avoid combat in favor of playing the objective. There are some stealth mechanics to make this possible. Some units are small enough that they can avoid being seen. This one is pretty big and is pretty much shoehorned into the direct combat role, but it's got a lot of armor and big weapons to compensate. At the beginning of the level, units won't be immediately alerted to your presence. They'll have to establish a line of sight to you. And after they do see you and are aware that you're an enemy, they will radio in for help and sound the alarm. As you can see, I just beat this level by blowing up all of the orbital defense platforms and running out of the checkpoint. You have to escape after you complete your objective in order to advance to the next level. So every level gets a little bit harder, as far as I know. And I think that the game has some way of detecting what kind of strategy you're taking and will try to make it harder for you to do that a second time. I've only heard about this in interviews though, so I'm not sure exactly what they do. They might put in more units if you're trying to kill all units. They might put in put more units guarding the ammo depots if you decide to destroy those. You can see here that he's radioing in for help and has now sounded the alarm. So now patrol units will kind of start converging on my position. But before that, they were a little bit more passive. The AI wasn't immediately attacking me as much because they wasn't sure if I was an enemy or an ally, I figure. But now there's quite a few enemies going. You notice that I'm missing a lot of shots, and that's because weapons will fire right where you click. So in my case, I'm firing a big laser, and if I overshoot them, it'll often go over their heads. So you have to be careful about where you're aiming in this game. And it gets more difficult because of how tall my mech is to hit these small targets as they get close to me. However, from further away, if I can just keep that distance, it'll be easier for me to land my shots. And the thing is, like with this game, with the big weapons, they tend to have a pretty slow reload time and have a hard time maneuvering around to hit small guys. As you can see, I'm having a really hard time with these small infantry units, but I'm luckily able to just run right over them with my, just by stomping on them, I guess. You can actually do a little stomp, an active stomp, just by pressing the space bar. That can help you clear out terrain features faster. But if you just walk in the direction of something, and if you're a big mech, it'll just often allow you to just blow it up, or I guess trample it down over time. So here I was able to replenish some of my laser shots by standing next to that ammo depot, and now it's kind of gone dark to signify that I've depleted it. I've already completed the objective for this map by blowing up, I think, a certain number of guys. Is that 46 out of 36? So now I can just go right for the checkpoint and advance to the next stage. Sometimes, if the resistance level is higher, or if there are just more guys on the field, it'll be more difficult to escape. Especially with the stealthier units, it can be very hard to both complete the objective and escape, because oftentimes once you blow up like an ammo depot or a missile turret or something, the patrols will just come right at you. So I restocked my cannon fire. You'll notice that I'm going in a certain direction, and I have 2 reticules. One of them is for my cannon, one of them is for my laser. If I'm walking opposite to the direction where I'm pointing my gun, a turret weapon can rotate around to actually like fix on that target, but certain guns don't have as much leeway, so you have to really just point the chassis of your mech at the target. It sounds more complicated than it is, but the skinny of that is that you just can't, some weapons you can't run in one direction and then fire in the other direction. You often have to point at your target with certain big, less mobile guns. So I've blown up an ammo depot. I have 4 more if I want to complete the district that way. Looks like the units are trying to get line of sight on me. It's pretty easy because my mech is so tall that they can see me over obstacles. Some mechs are small enough that you can actually crouch down and try and hide. These guys can still see me, but I can at least use this cover to... the advantage of being tall is I can shoot over that cover. But the disadvantage is, of course, that they can see me pretty easily. And now, you know, they have called in for backup, and alarm sounded, and now I'm in need of just blasting my way out of this level. Although I still have to complete the objective before I can escape, because the checkpoints don't even open until you've completed the objectives. I'm kind of doing a little bit of everything in this level. I've blown up some orbital platforms, I've killed some units, and some depots too. Although it sounds kind of similar between the building objectives, between blowing up the ammo depots versus the defense platforms, the defense platforms tend to have higher hit points and require kind of more concentrated fire to blow up. Whereas the ammo depots can just get destroyed very easily because, you know, they got a bunch of ammo in them and they blow up, you know, at the drop of a hat, I guess. And they're more scattered around the level. You kind of have to pay attention to the ammo depots anyway, because in order to restock a weapon, you have to find the appropriate ammo depot and get close to it before you can, you know, refill your weapons. If you don't do that, you're just going to run out of ammo, and you're going to be forced to try and run over the opposing units just by trying to stomp on them, which is not terribly effective. That's pretty much covers the basic gameplay, but I figure I could talk about the customization options and stuff. There's 12 different vehicles you could pick from right now. There's you know, this was one I was playing with earlier, the Yojimbo. There's hovercrafts and tanks, and here's a smaller mech that's like faster, but you know, has less hit points and stuff. It pretty much gives you a different experience, more or less, with depending on what you choose. And each one can mount different kinds of weapons. This mech has 6 different weapons available to it. Other ones will have different selections to pick from. Most can mount 2. This one can only mount 1. 2 of these choices are lasers. One of them is like a short-range, fast-firing one. One of them is a long-range sniper gun. We saw a cannon in our last mech, I think, or maybe it was a machine gun, I forget which one. Flamethrowers are like a short-range area of effect weapon, and artillery pieces are good at like picking off buildings and stuff from long range. You can also pick an ability like an EMP or smoke bomb. I didn't really use those very often, but they're, I guess, a defensive ability you can deploy sometimes. I always kind of forget I can actually use those things. So this guy's a lot faster than my last mech, as you can see. And you know, that flamethrower has a pretty high rate of fire compared to those slow-firing cannons, so it's a whole different kind of style of play. I can just kind of run along and try and pick off the defenses and the enemies without staying in one place too long. And in fact, because I'm staying on the move, it's taking them longer to like be alerted to my presence. And they finally sounded the alarm, but not before I took out all 4 missile batteries. So there's something to be said for having like a more maneuverable mech in this game. But the flip side is he's not as durable in direct combat. Well, that kind of covers the basics of this game. I hope you guys found it informative. It goes on sale this summer on Steam. If you guys are interested in seeing more about this game, I might be doing some more videos of it here, or maybe on my Twitch channel. Either way, I'll see you guys later.